Oh yeah, oh yeah. You know, we got the Geare Brothers here. That's why the Geare Brothers. We got to do that. That's right. Yeah, the Geare Brothers in the house, not the Frog Brothers. Not to be confused with the Frog Brothers.
Correct.
That's right. Yeah. The Geare Brothers are in the house. What is going on? It's your boy Preston, Fat Samurai Guy, back again, hanging out on the channel. That's right. The Movie Dojo podcast is special guests. They're always special guests here. That's right. They're my brothers from other mothers. We have Jeff and Darren here. Welcome back to the channel, brother.
Thanks for having us, Mr. Samurai. We are the Frog Brothers of the 21st century. That's how we refer to ourselves. So thank you.
Yes. And we had to bring back this series here on the channel because we're revving up for Halloween, baby. That's right. We are revving up. We are celebrating my favorite holiday of all time, my favorite holiday of the year, Halloween. So we gotta represent that horror genre, baby. And so our favorite movies is a series I have brought back, and our special guest picks of the day are, we had Jeff pick The Exorcist, correct?
That's right.
And my man over here, Darren, picked
Believer.
Yes, and my man Darren,
I haven't even seen it.
And Darren picked The Lost Boys. So we going back in time. We're gonna have a blast today. But first, I got to blow up the awesome, amazing background of these future podcasters here. I'm so excited that you guys are gonna have an awesome, kick-ass show, and keep me in the loop so I can share the link and the love, baby. Because you know the horror movie community is running wild, baby. But yeah, love that background. That's what it's all about.
I think as soon as this goes live, I think the show is live. I think we are up and running. So
nice. Amazing.
Shout out to the late Alon Delon.
Yes.
He just passed away.
Yes.
So,
rest in
peace. It's up for the samurai.
For the other
OG samurai.
For the French samurai, late samurai.
yes. But spoilers. Jeff is a vampire. I don't know if you guys knew this. He is a vampire because of the glasses. That's a dead giveaway. Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of Twilight, and so this is an homage.
But yeah, we're gonna have fun going back in time here, and of course, you know, this is gonna be spoiler discussion. These films have been out for a while, but if you don't want to be spoiled, hey, go watch the movies right now, and then come on back and join us here. But up first, we are going back to the 70s, baby. This is insane. 1973. Like this is like no wonder everybody lost their goddamn mind then, because a movie like this is like holy shit. And I'll get to my experience of when I first watched the film for the first time, but we'll go in order here. But let's go back and have some fun and talk about The Exorcist.
Life had been good to Chris MacNeil. She was a successful actress. Her daughter Reagan was a happy, healthy 12-year-old. Until that night at the party, when a terrible force entered their lives, and strange things began to happen. Nobody expected it. Nobody believed it, and nothing could stop it.
I'm bringing you that thing upstairs isn't my daughter.
You tell me you know for a fact that an exorcism wouldn't do any good. You tell me that!
The one hope. The only hope. The Exorcist. Rated R.
Mother, what's wrong with me?
Yeah. Atmosphere, baby. Atmosphere. So I'm going to go up here really quick to IMDb. The film came out in 1973, again, directed by the amazing William Friedkin. Quick plot synopsis for those of you who have not seen it. When a mysterious entity possesses a young girl, her mother seeks the help of two Catholic priests to save her life. We have an amazing cast. Ellen Burstyn here as Chris MacNeil. My favorite, that's right, Max von Sydow as Father Merrin. The amazing Linda Blair as Reagan. Lee J. Cobb. I mean, so many people are in this. William O'Malley.
And Preston, you know, Jason Miller. Jason Miller is the dad of Jason Patrick of The Lost Boys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. There we go. Fun fact already.
Yeah.
That's your first factoid of the day.
First, yes. Father Karras is the character he played. But yeah, just a great cast. And man, I remember I came across another. We're ripping all day today. We're ripping Alan and rest in power Friedkin, as well as Paul Mooney. Paul Mooney, the comedian. I saw an interview. It was either one of his stand-ups he did, or was an interview. But he said when The Exorcist came out, he didn't know what it was. A buddy of his was like, "Hey, let's go to this movie," and he had no idea what it was. And so he went in, sat down. He said he was watching it, and then when the shit got crazy, he was like, "Oh no, fuck this!" And he got up and walked out. And this is Paul Mooney, who has seen some shit.
Oh
and
yeah,
he was like, "Nah, man, fuck this." He walked. He's like, "What the hell did you bring me to?" And he walked out because it was too much for him. But yeah, we'll talk about our experiences, and then we'll talk about the movie. So, when did you first see The Exorcist, Jeff? Did you and Darren see it together at the same time?
No. I don't. It's kind of funny. I don't have a memory of the first time I saw it. I heard about it. It's sort of like Cannibal Holocaust. It's a movie I heard a lot about before I saw it the first time.
Yeah.
And I had seen little clips here and there, but I do have vivid memories of being a kid and being really scared of my bed shaking at night. Like that was a real fear. Sometimes I'd be like, "Oh man, if I felt a little shake from something, I'd be like, oh no, am I going to get possessed tonight? Is something going down like that?" But it wasn't until later on, I think when I was a teen, probably in my 20s, I saw it in a theater screening, front to back, and it really haunted me.
Man, he saw this in theater. Wow.
It wasn't necessarily the scariest movie I'd ever seen when I saw it.
Yeah.
It was one of those movies that it's more like when I got home and I was alone and it was quiet in my room.
Right. Yeah.
And I had to go to the bathroom. You know what I mean? And it was like, I don't want to go to the bathroom. I'm just going to piss the bed. Like, you know what I mean? Or the floor, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Copy that. Darren, when did you first see the movie?
It's funny. I think because the intro, which is so so brilliant. I just love it.
It's the best part of the movie, in my opinion.
Love the beginning.
Yeah.
But as a kid, like a typical 80s kid, I was watching cable after school and seeing movies that I had no business watching. So I am pretty sure that the first time I saw The Exorcist was like at home alone.
Yeah.
After school. And because that intro was so long and to a kid boring,
right?
I tried it and it weirded me out, the vibe and the music, and there was an atmosphere to it that that haunted me. That I never forgot it. But I didn't get through the movie. I didn't get to the meat and potatoes of the movie.
Especially since we were raised Catholic, right? In a way, you're all kind of keyed into that culture.
Yeah. And then, so I had a couple like attempted viewings, and I remember I just couldn't get past that intro as a little kid, which again, no business watching it as a little kid. But then,
interesting that it was the intro that really haunted you as a kid. Just seeing that that it was the Iraq scene, right?
It did, but it as a kid, because what I was used to at that point because I was so into horror young, I related horror to Halloween and Friday the 13th, right. and so because it's this is Friedkin, so this is a different. I mean, it's an epic. It is an epic movie and an epic vibe, and you are, it takes its time, and so it really, I want to say probably sometime when I was a teenager, I think I rented it, and then of course it just finally seeing the whole thing, it was just you know, it just felt like an assault on the senses, and just it was just an incredible movie, and the performances and were just so, you know, just so good, and Linda Blair and oh god, I'm forgetting the mom is incredible.
Oh, Ellen
Burstyn. Yeah, she's there's something about the rawness of her performance and that relationship that is haunting as well. I mean, it's just, there's so many elements of the movie that just really do stick with you. It really is just kind of a singular kind of movie in that way.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well said. And my experience, this will be a theme of tonight, is my parents were ministers. So growing up, Samurai Guy was not allowed to see, you know, a lot of the dad, you know, and Sexy Sumo, my buddy Manny always rubs it in. I saw Return of the Living Dead when I was 6. You know, he's like, I've seen all the movies. And he always rubs it in. And I'm like, meh. You know, but I was, you know, I was watching it on TV edits. They didn't really care. They were like, yeah, you can watch that. When I was little, you know, when I became a teen, I watched whatever I wanted. But we'll get to that when we get to the Lost Boys. But The Exorcist, I never really seen it. I remember I used to come on TV here and there, and for some reason, I just really wasn't interested. And then the older I got, I think mid to late teens, or maybe early 20s, believe it or not. I'm trying to remember. It's been so long ago. It feels like 5 billion years ago now. But it was when the DVD that featured the extended version that many people have not seen, with the staircase sequence.
Like the spider.
Right. When that was announced and that came out on DVD, I was a little bit older then, and I had a lot more appreciation for film by then.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I was like, it's time. It's time to do this. So I bought that extended version DVD. I was like, all right, I don't want any interruptions. I don't want no fuck ups. Get the fuck out of my room. Like, leave me alone. I'm going to turn the lights down. I'm going to turn the sound up. And I'm just going to not expect an action movie, not expect a kills every 5-minute movie.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, most likely this is probably a slow burn experience, but let's see what happens here. You know, let me, dive into this atmosphere and let's see what happens. And man, I did get some of the chills, bro. There were a few moments that shocked me. I was not expecting that, and we're going to get to that a little bit later.
Yeah,
even for the 70s, so shocking that they would never do anything like that now. Never do anything like that now. And I'll talk about that when we get to it a little bit later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with Jeff and you, Darren. The beginning, really sets the tone. Like, you could tell, Max's character really senses evil is coming, and the movie really sets up like the showdown. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, like at first you may not know what the fuck is happening, right? Like, you'd be like, okay, he's doing a lot of staring into the, he's just staring into the outside and into nothing, and then he's looking at a statue. Like, what the hell's happening? But the way it's directed, there's that sense of unease. Yeah. That's probably why it stuck with you, Darren. Is that there was like something unsettling with him engaging with this statue. Like, he knows something evil he's going to have to confront at some point. And it was so well done.
Yeah, you keep thinking he's like going to die or something.
Yeah.
Like, he's like having trouble breathing, he's sweating. I mean, I know it's supposed to be hot, but just all those, if you think about it too, there's like no score. The sound design is just impeccable. Yeah. It sounds busy and bustling and grimy. It feels, there's all that mystery is in the beginning. You know what I mean? The clock stopping. I love that little touch. You know what I mean? Earlier on. So like each little noise is very significant. Yeah. The metal being ding, 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 and he's like getting hypnotized by it. It looks like, and then like how it starts off in black and white with the sun and then turns like that blood red, you know, and the yellow sun, like just playing, it just seems surreal. You know what I mean? It's sort of a surreal intro. And then you land in Georgetown and it's like completely, it still feels grounded, even though it's surreal. And you go from the reds to the blues, and now you're just in, you know, what's also brilliant about the film, I know we talk about it being a slow burn film. I watched it again this last week just to kind of have it fresh in my mind, and I kept that slow burn kind of thing in mind. Like, okay, when did things really start? It's from the very start. You know, it starts off Ellen's character, Chris. She's in bed and she gets woken up by a sound in the attic, which you already know is the demon.
Right.
You know what I mean? And she gets woken up and it's like, what's going on there? And that just progresses during the movie, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Eventually she's going up there with the candle,
Right.
you know, and then it flames out of nowhere, you know, it just, you know, so it does do actually a really good job of scaring you with like effective horror until you get to the really shocking stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of a brilliant movie that way.
Yeah.
The sense of impending doom. There it is. That's what I was trying to say earlier.
Yeah,
the dread.
Yeah.
While still scaring you, though. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like, you know, there's some slow burn films like, well, we just watched this last night for the millionth time again.
Yeah.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's a real slow burn kind of film until you get some real violence. You know, some real scary, you know, or that adrenaline
Right.
kind of scene. But The Exorcist doesn't really do that. I mean, yeah, they save her until about midpoint or something, but it's scaring the shit out of you the whole time.
Yeah. And when we say slow burn, everybody watching what? Everybody watching and listening. I just woke up, all right? Hey, give me a break. Everybody watching. We don't mean, when we say slow burn, we don't mean boring. There's a difference between boring and slow burn.
Yes.
But some people, they when they hear slow burn, they immediately, I'm not gonna like this movie. They said slow burn. Right. I'm not gonna like this movie. It's gonna be boring. No, that's not what we mean by that. There is a difference.
Absolutely.
But like you were saying, Jeff, right into the beginning, there is the impending doom, the dread. You know, even the scene where the mother is just walking home, and you for the first time you hear the classic theme song.
Yeah,
but nothing happens during that scene.
Nothing happens. No, I think it's just leaves falling.
It's just leading up, and then for the first time, I'm talking about my experience for the first time watching it, and she's in the kitchen, and all of a sudden disappears, and then disappears.
Yeah,
I was like, "What the fuck? What the fuck was that?" Like, fucking Pazuzu would come in and say, "Hey, how's it going? Hey, I'm about to fuck up your life for fun because I'm Pazuzu, and that's what I do, baby." That's what she said. That's what the evil entities actually said in the movie. Yeah. But
funny.
I was like, what the hell was that? But yeah, go ahead.
I mean, one of my best friends. We've had this thing since I was probably like 18 or so. We would say, if something was going really well in your life and then everything came crashing down, we'd say to the other person, "Hey man, this was going so great, but then Captain Howdy came in. You know, he was tricking me the whole time. You know, making me believe, something good was going to happen, and then it all came crashing down." So
right.
It's been part of
sometimes you get. I mean, I think we've all done that. Like at some point when things are going too good, too well for too long, you're just waiting for the ball to drop. You're like, all right. Yeah. The tires. I need new tires on my car now. The tires just blew out on the way to work.
That's the work of Captain Howdy.
Yeah. But another thing that I enjoyed about the film was, and you don't really see it a lot. I don't think you've seen it before this movie, but there's probably other examples. But I like how they showed the priests as real people. I love how they portray. They didn't show them as complete perfect people that never sin. There's no flaws. They are perfect in every way, and they will judge you on everything you do. It was nice to see priests that smoked, priests that drank, priests that had issues they're still trying to deal with. and it was nice to see them humanized as
Yeah.
real people because they're real people.
He didn't help that homeless guy. He's like, "Can you give an old altar boy a coin or whatever?" And he just looks at him like almost, I don't know what that look is, but yeah, he just I think that's the scene right there at the bottom. I think he's looking at the homeless guy right there.
It's nice to see that. But
I think it's almost like he's disturbed by the world around him. There is a kind of problem of evil going on in his heart of like, how could God allow my mother to be this way? How could he let these homeless people, rot in despair? How can he let this evil run rampant in the world? And I feel like that's a sort of underlying theme running through the movie, which, funny enough, actually, because it never really bubbles up too much. I like that they play it low key. In the sequel, The Heretic, that's like a huge theme, right? And they even say it out loud, which is a little clunky, but
I have not seen the sequel yet. I have not seen the second one. I've seen the third one, which I really enjoyed. I really like the third one, but the second one I have not seen it. Hey, future Yin Yang episode, baby. Let's do it. Exorcist 2 with something else. But yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting. I won't say it's bad.
Okay.
And I won't say it's good.
I've heard nothing but terrible things about it. So
it's very weird.
We'll discuss it later.
Yeah, it's very weird.
We'll have to talk about it now. I have to do it with these guys.
Well, it's interesting hearing you talk about Father Karras that way too, because in a weird way, he's a different character for sure, but the pastor that Jeff and I wrote in The Retaliators, in a similar vein, we were very aware that what's become the trope in the last couple of decades is any time you see a man of the cloth, there's just these they're now just surrounded with all of these with these tropes of they're either evil or they're a caricature. And
that's supposed to be the irony, right? It's like, oh, you expect them to be these good people, and then under the cloth, they're
so so it's like
they're a demon.
Yeah, I'm sure there was probably it's like Dexter villains or whatever, whatever it is. You just see it endlessly, and I love Dexter. And so that was something we were trying to do with character of John Bishop was let's create a real flesh and blood guy who and watch his struggles inside, and it was funny because we got a lot of reaction of people go, wow, that was refreshing to see, because it's just something we've seen in a while, but it is funny because you go back to Exorcist and it's like that it's right there, he was so humanized, and you're right, and I think especially
he used to be a boxer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of the boxer stuff, that I can't remember his name, but the guy who played the detective was amazing.
Cobb, right?
Lieutenant Kinderman, played by Lee J. Cobb.
Yeah. Oh, dude, he's amazing. Yeah.
But it's interesting because he had that boxing background, the character did, in the movie, and little did he know he's going to be doing some spiritual boxing a little bit later,
Well, boxing. He was punching Reagan at the very end.
That's right. He was punching her. But speaking of the Retaliators, what? Hey, congratulations, brother! The Retaliators slashes onto Screambox, baby. Yeah, man. Congrats to you both.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, and if you guys have not seen it, make sure you guys check it out. I highly recommend it. Is it still on Tubi and Amazon Prime?
Yes, we're still on Tubi, and we are now on we are on Screambox and Prime.
Yeah, you can still catch us on Prime.
Yeah, we're on Prime, and
cool.
Yes, it's so cool. So stoked to be on Screambox. They curate everything. I mean, they really do have a phenomenal. I think they've really done a great job with how they I just really like their layout. I like their curation. It's really good. So super stoked to be a part of those, part of their repertoire. And then what's cool is, we're the #1 movie and new releases right now. So it's very cool.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. Yeah. Well deserved. Yeah. Well deserved. Congrats.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So y'all know what you need to do. Go to fucking Screambox and watch the Retaliators, you bitches. I'm gonna fucking haunt you guys at night. So get to it.
But yeah, back to the movie. But yeah, you know, I really enjoyed the mother and daughter relationship too. You know, they were so adorable together, and it was so sad. And the movie really took its time for you to kind of hang out with them, you know, and see that they really loved, very playful. They really loved each other. They cared about each other, and it was really sad to see the slow decline. With Reagan's health, and it got to the point where, because, you know, she's frustrated, the mother, any parent would be at this point, you know, and even the doctors are like, all right, maybe she's just insane. Maybe this little girl's just insane. You know?
Preston, you bring up a really cool point, because as I was watching it this last time, I thought, what a cool, there's a lot of like little story turns that they do in the movie that really, like, I find new ones each time and make me just think it's that much more brilliant every single time. The one I really honed in on this last viewing was, you know, the idea of getting an exorcist comes from the scientist. Because he says, "Oh, it'll maybe." They're like, "Why are you recommending an exorcism?"
That's
right.
Like,
oh, it's the force of suggestion,
right?
You know what I mean? The kid will just believe that it's happening, and that'll be enough to snap it out of its psychological disturbance. You know what I mean? Which I think is just, how genius is that? You know, not because any other writer would have gone, well, the scientists are just going to be like, no, that's bullshit the whole way.
Yeah, and usually the science and religion butt heads. Yeah,
exactly.
Interesting.
They're working together.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Not for this, you know, the same reason necessarily, but I thought that was quite brilliant, actually.
But
and also just having Father Karras, a psychiatrist.
Right.
You know, I mean that's more of an obvious one, but even just that is really interesting.
Yes, for sure. But I mean, things just escalate. I mean, poor mom having to see her daughter just slowly get worse and worse, and just, man, and the visual effects, the practical effects, more practical obviously than visual, but so good. You know, just destroyed. Pazuzu was just like, fuck your bed. Fuck your bedroom. I'm fucking up everything. You know, it was just like, what the fuck is going on? I mean, crazy shit.
Oh, that scene was so creepy, dude.
Yeah. What's happening here?
And not to mention, Preston, you know, the making of the film, how much William Friedkin went into actually scaring them to create real reactions. You know, you have that when the phone rings, when Father Karras is like, I think he's in his room or something, or is he in the actual? I can't remember which room he's in. But as soon as that phone rings, he turns over all scared. A shotgun had gone off without him knowing it was going to go off, and that's how they got the action. Yeah. Another scene when Father Karras is on the ground dying, right, and his priest friend is helping him, like he wanted, you know, a last rites or whatever, or make a final confession. He couldn't get you know, he was a real priest, and Friedkin couldn't get a real enough performance out of him until he went over to him. He goes, "Do you trust me?" And the father said, "Yeah." And then William Friedkin slapped the shit out of him. And said, "Go." And when he went over, he said he was so shocked by that experience, he was shaking. And it was welling up, and that's how they got that. That's how they got that moment.
Wow.
Friedkin was a beast, man. I mean, when the stories from Exorcist, from Sorcerer, from French Connection. I mean, that guy was. I mean, it's why he's just one of the best of. Greatest of all time. So extreme.
Yeah, kind of a little ironic archaeological metaphor. Like, what I love about The Exorcist so much is that you can just keep digging. Like, you can't stop digging and finding treasures in this movie. You know what I mean? Whether it's how it's made, the original novel, the the aftermath, the relationship between William Friedkin and William Blatty, which was also very like even how William Friedkin got the part.
Mm-hmm.
I think he originally read the first script and he said it was garbage, and then they went their separate ways, and then they brought him back in. It was like a very
Yeah. See, this is why I have the Geare Brothers on the show all the time, because you get all the fun facts because they have the knowledge.
We got to do something.
I'm wearing my knowledge beanie here today to look smart. I'm trying to help I'm trying to reach their level, but it's not going to happen. No. But yeah, I didn't know all that. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, and Ellen Bernstein, another really just quick little fact. That scene where I think it's where the dresser's coming after her.
Yeah.
And she falls down.
Right.
That's a real fall. And there was a take before where, again, William Friedkin didn't think it was looking real enough. And so he lied to her and said that they would do a lighter push. And they actually did a way harder push. And so that reaction from her is very genuine. She was, and she was really pissed off at old Billy after that. And she forgave him later, but there was a kind of a little rift for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard stories about Stanley Kubrick with The Shining. Even Alfred Hitchcock with The Birds. There was some interesting things on that too. But look at the result. You know what I mean? Look at the result, and it's just amazing performances at the end there. But now
we can't wait to have our directorial debut and torture our actors into getting real performances.
Yeah, throwing some slaps. Speaking of speaking of slaps, you just reminded me of Ridley Scott in the first Alien movie. Did you guys know that the slap when the other girl slaps the shit out of Sigourney Weaver? She did not know that was coming.
Oh, the
director told her to do, I forgot the other actress's name, but the director told her when she comes around and starts talking, you walk up, you wail her. So when you see the movie, so that's a real reaction from Sigourney Weaver going, like, what the fuck? Like, she was like, that was real. So,
okay, that's cool.
This is working. All right.
Yeah.
The smart
beanie works.
Is working. Wow. So I'm happy. It was like perfect timing for me to finally watch the movie. I had a little bit more knowledge with, for film and passion for it. Understood it a lot more. My mind was opening up a lot more as I got older, because let's be honest, when I was a teen, Samurai Guy was like boobs, boobies and blood and explosions. That's all I want to see. I still kind of like that stuff now.
Samurai, I was just gonna say, do not try to sit here and act like anything has changed, because I'd be very upset. And then I would feel like we would not have an audience anymore for the what we write. So come on.
No, I still like that stuff now, but I'm just saying, like, usually that was just like anything boring, or I would consider boring. It's like my dad, like, trying to show me old movies back then when I was a teen. I would roll my eyes like, oh, great, we're going to watch another old movie, right? But by the end of it, I'm like, well, that was pretty fucking cool. So, you know.
Well, it's interesting you put it that way, Preston, because when you first brought up me doing The Exorcist, one of the first things I thought about was, hey, a lot of people think of this movie as like a highfalutin sort of piece of horror. It's not obviously in the Jason franchise, and
highfalutin.
It's highfalutin. It's for hoity-toity artsy people, But what's interesting is that it has, because William Friedkin did it. It's got that mix of, yes, it does have that highfalutin kind of vibe to it, but it also has that real like exploitation vibe too, because he's so balls to the wall,
right?
Like not giving a fuck what he's going to show. I mean, it is so utterly shocking. I mean, all those scenes with Reagan and the sexual stuff. You're just like, oh my god.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to get to in a second.
It's like, it makes you uncomfortable today. I mean, it will forever be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, camera issues there. You guys still there?
The internal temp is.
I can still hear you.
Uh-oh. It sounds like we got Captain Howdy playing tricks on us.
I know who it is. God damn it, Pazuzu.
Pazuzu.
God damn it.
I knew I'd shut this shit down, baby.
Yeah, baby.
There'll be no more talking for the Geare Brothers.
You're talking to the abyss now. Gaze
Yeah.
into me.
But yeah, we could still, as long as I can hear you, we can still keep going, and then until you guys fix your camera, hopefully you fix it there.
Well, speaking of the abyss, James Cameron's another notorious director for torturing his actors.
Oh my God!
Back then, I mean, I think things have probably gotten better. It sounds like they have, but up until Titanic, I think it was pretty. It could be tough, like more like stunt guys, but the abyss itself, I mean, like I think Ed Harris almost drowned at one point, or James Cameron almost drowned too. I think maybe I'm mixing it up. It might have been James Cameron who almost drowned.
It was fun revisiting that in 4K. I think a couple of months ago.
Yeah,
I haven't watched it in forever. Oh, there you go. You guys are back now. I
was watching it I went through a phase where I watched that movie like every night before bed. It was one of my sleepers for like a year.
I showed that movie for the first time to Lady Fat, the missus, and she had no idea that the ending that we showed her was like all cut out. Like that whole ending with the huge tidal wave and the alien. Sorry, spoilers. And the aliens showing their power. Like, we could fuck you up right now if we want to, but you showed us that you got some of the lovey-dovey. So all right, we'll wait.
We are redeemable.
Yeah, all of that was cut. And she was like, "What?" It was like, "Yeah." They just in the theatrical, they just like, "No, it was too much." It was like, dude, that was like the best ending.
Well, tying this back to The Exorcist just a little bit, I think part of that theme of The Exorcist, because when you hear William Friedkin talk about it, I love the way that he frames the themes of his films. A lot of people will say like, oh, a theme needs to be some kind of thesis that the film is stating. But the way William Friedkin thinks about a theme is it's more of a question. In particular, for him, it's a mystery. And so, for example, The Sorcerer was the mystery of fate. And this film, The Exorcist, he has said, it's the mystery of faith. And if you think about it, like the film, the demon and Karis going through all those experiences that he's going in his personal life, there's almost a sense in which you think like human nature is at bottom irredeemable. So why have faith in humanity that it's going to come out and do the good thing and all that? And the film kind of explores that. So it's interesting, like The Abyss. The message at the end of that movie is sort of like, we might seem irredeemable, but there's something good there at the bottom of it all, that if we just tapped into that instead of all negativity, we could all live in harmony. And
good themes, fun themes. Sometimes some movies can hammer those themes too much to where you're like, okay, we get it. Yes, all right.
I'll just say this,
but it's done right. It's all
Ferngully hammers you over the head. But it's appropriate because it's for children. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. But Avatar, oof. All right, that's another discsion for another day. The unobtainium. The unobtainium.
I love James Cameron, man.
Well, I do too, just not that much. Anyway, but again, going back to me experiencing the film for the first time, it was like perfect timing. Because I got to see this shit happen. And again, I heard about this scene, the staircase scene, where possessed Reagan is just, walking down backwards. I heard about it, but I never saw it until I watched the movie for the first time. And the music and how that scene played out and how it just faded to black. And that's it. It just fades to black as soon as it gets up close to the camera. Then blood comes out of her mouth. And it just fades to black, and you just hear that score it's just like kind of creepy, dude. Like it's like gives me the chills a little bit. And then things just get fucking crazy. The fucking pea soup, But look at this. I mean, again, such a great performance.
Oh, she's amazing in it. Amazing.
And just the slow decline into madness here, and it's just, man, pea soup for everyone. But I love, one of my favorite parts about this movie is I love how evil is portrayed and shown, where it makes you uncomfortable, because I think that's how evil should be shown. Evil should be shown as evil. Like having fun torturing a little girl, having fun torturing the audience. Like evil, like people they get it, they can't handle it. Like this is too much, right? And it was like, no, this is evil. Evil should be shown as like the worst thing ever. You know,
Yeah,
so
it's not
you,
glamorized.
Right.
It's not shown to be sexy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where evil can be like even Star Wars, right? Like
Yeah.
Darth Vader has a kind of coolness to
Right.
him. You know what I mean? There's nothing cool about
Pazuzu,
and Reagan
No.
possessed.
No.
You're just, you know,
You're
it's-
just revolted and horrified by it.
yeah.
Yeah. But I love how as soon as Max von Sydow and Father Harris walk in the room, as soon as they walk in the room, Pazuzu's already talking shit. Like already talking shit as soon as they walk in. Do you remember the line? But I forgot the line. But he's, you know, Max is doing his thing, and then already, you motherfucker, like right at the beginning, I was just like, dude, this is
or something.
yeah, like, dude. I mean, of course, you had the classic line, you know, your mother sucks cocks in hell or something like
All right,
that. But just already, just I just love how evil is portrayed in this. It's disturbing to some, but I think evil should be portrayed this way. Now, there's nothing wrong with having fun, evil characters and a different type of movie. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, this was a great scene. I mean, can you imagine if they left this in when it released back in 1973?
Jeez,
dude,
I don't know. I mean, there was so much that was.
Do you know why it was cut? Do you know why it was cut, Darren?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
Yeah, it just
Yeah,
was very bizarre. You know,
I remember when it came out. That was another impetus to see it again too. I remember when that cut came out. You know, when they had released that.
Yeah.
I think that might have been the first time I saw it in the theater. Actually, now that I'm coming to think of it.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was kind of the revival for me.
And again, back to the fun practical effects and makeup. You know,
it's so cool, dude.
Head twisting around and still talking shit.
And I gotta say too, another genius thing about The Exorcist is, you know, where the movie really turns is when the director of the movie that Ellen Bernstein is in, Burson's in, when he dies, he falls out the window and his head is all the way turned around. They never show it. And so you're just getting told this death. Whereas, you know, I feel like conventional wisdom is, hey, if there's a cool death, why aren't we showing it? You know what I mean? And for whatever reason, when you just hear the description of how this person died,
it's better.
They don't even flash back to it like The Ring or something, which another movie I really love.
Yeah.
But they just leave you with imagining how it happened. And I get chills just even thinking about it right now. It's just, just another brilliant touch.
I'm kind of glad, and you know me, I'm all about gore and practical effects. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Check out The Retaliators. I hear it's a great movie, but yeah, I'm glad they kind of didn't show it.
Yeah.
That might have ended up looking comedic too, and have taken away from the sacrifice. I'm kind of glad they didn't show that. But dude, let's talk about round one. Round one fight. As soon as they engage, this is like so intense. You know, you're rewarded for the slow burn beginning. Again, I wasn't bored. I was all in the beginning. I was all in this whole movie. I was all in. But for some people that thought the beginning was boring, when you get to this scene, it's intense. You know, the power of Christ compels you.
And now the holy water, like, it whips her. So it's like when it'll cut to like a, like it's almost like whipping, like leaving those whip marks. It was like, oh my gosh, it was just every little detail in that was just.
When the first round was over, you had to actually like take a breath. Like I had to go, because it was like so intense. And then I was like, all right, here we go. We're revving up to round two, and damn, Max's character didn't even make it to round two. Like it was just like, you know, he was so old. The character was so old by the time he got there, and it was just too much for him. But I love the callback to the statue that was shown in the beginning. I love the callback to the statue. It's just so good, so good.
Yeah.
So good. But I love how you were saying earlier, Jeff, showing, well, how I mentioned earlier, humanizing the priest, and how you mentioned, you and Darren were talking about him still going through stuff and trying to get over it. And then I think at some point, he had doubt. He was just like, there's nothing we could really do for your daughter.
Yeah.
You know? And the mother, like they showed in a little TV spot, the mother's like screaming at her, like, just look, you're going to at least try. Like, can you try to help my daughter? Because, he was like, fuck, what the hell are we supposed to do now?
Yeah. He said put her in a hospital under, supervision for 6 months. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's,
yeah.
Oh man. And another really freak one. So the beginning is my favorite sequence. My second favorite sequence is Karras's dream sequence.
Oh, talk about that.
When he sees his mom at the top of the escalator, or not the escalator, but the stairs to the subway, and it's like silent, and it's just this, and then you see that flash of Pazuzu, and it flashes out. You know what I mean? You're just like, oh my gosh, dude. And he's like trying to run to her to save her, but he can't save her. It's like, it's all that guilt.
Yeah.
And I that just, even that theme resonates a lot with me. That's one of my favorite themes to see done really well, is just that theme of guilt. So that one really sticks.
Worst son of the year.
we can
Worst son of the year award, you prick.
But again, who are the best heroes that we love, right? The best heroes, those type of characters, are usually the ones that have flaws, and they have to overcome. I mean, once in a while, believe me, because we love our B movies and stuff. Once in a while, we don't mind if Charles Bronson doesn't reload his gun. We don't give a shit.
Steven Seagal never loses a fight,
right? Yeah. Like, we don't mind if our heroes are invincible once in a while. It depends on the type of movie. It depends on the type of movie. But in terms of the most interesting versions of heroes are usually the ones with flaws. They get beat down at some point, and they have to find a way to come back and either redeem themselves or make the sacrifice and do what needs to be done to save the day. Those are always will be the more interesting heroes. And I think our man here, the main man, Father Karras, really, I mean, the whole movie, he had doubt, he had guilt. There was so many issues he was going through. And then right at the very end, he decides to do something I don't think anyone else would volunteer to do. You can have the most badass, military trained, best martial artist trained dude in the world. And he's going, well, you want me to do what now? I don't think they would do that. And he decided to, he's like, hey, you can take me, take me. He sacrificed himself. Pazuzu entered him. And then he literally, again, sacrifices himself and jumps out of the window to take them both out. And it just, what an eerie, and creepy, but satisfying, to me, satisfying ending, because he redeemed himself. He saved the little girl. Especially after, in a way, his mentor dying. He was like, what the fuck am I going to do by myself? But he's just like, all right, you know what? I will make the sacrifice to save the little girl. And, it's interesting. After I watched the movie, I loved it so much I had to watch it again with the commentary with Friedkin. And it was so interesting because, not surprising, the church at the time, I'm sure they would do it today too. They were just kind of protesting and against it. And I guarantee you they probably never even really watched the movie. They probably saw scenes and was like, oh, this is demonic and satanic, and it makes the church look bad, blah, blah, blah. But I guarantee you they probably never actually watched the movie from beginning to end. And what I thought it was really interesting, listening to the audio commentary from Friedkin, was he basically was like, this movie is literally the perfect example of Christianity. You know what I mean? It's the perfect example of, if you want to look at it that way, if you want to view it that way. And you guys know me. You guys know me on this channel. We don't talk politics or religion. We don't do that. But I think it's really interesting. Just to mention the audio commentary. If you guys haven't heard it, make sure you check it out. But I thought it was really interesting because he was giving examples of like he didn't understand why the church was so against this movie, because at the end, you know, he makes the sacrifice and saves the girl. So he didn't really understand why they were going. Again, I guarantee you they didn't even watch it. And they're probably, and this is probably not their genre anyway. They're probably not going to want to watch something, especially, you know, again, this scene shocked me. I was like, whoa, like you would never be able to do a scene like that now. And that's Reagan with the crucifix sequence. Jesus. That you would never see anything like that today. They wouldn't have the balls.
Yeah.
Hollywood would not have the balls. Everyone's sucking A24's dick. A24 wouldn't have the balls to do a scene like that today.
You get death threats. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, what did I say earlier? Do you want to see evil? Be evil. Do you want to see a true representation of evil? There you go. You know, you want to experience those characters, or the shock, the terror, what the mother's going through, the heartache. How are you going to do that if you don't like show evil being evil? You know, it's shocking. I get it.
Yeah,
I can't imagine the movie without it. And this was one of my pet peeves with The Exorcist Believer. And we can talk about that if you guys want to talk about that. We don't have to.
I haven't seen it, so I would
spoil it.
I didn't see it.
But yeah, that was my issue. A lot of issue with that movie. You know, you got to have a little bit more than little girls in makeup screaming. There's got to be more to your movie than that. You know, but Exorcist Believer will be another discussion for another day.
Yeah, Preston, you know what's interesting is you mentioned the church sort of being up in arms over The Exorcist, and it being a sort of there's a sense in which you could sort of view it as a very orthodox film, like it having an orthodox message, you know, behind it. The same year that The Exorcist came out, I believe it's the same year Jesus Christ Superstar came out.
Oh,
which had a similar issue where, you know, you could see it as a very orthodox Christian film,
right?
But on the other hand, the church were all up in arms over it being a blasphemous film,
right?
The same with The Last Temptation of Christ was actually one of my other films of all time. That was widely protested by the church.
I remember that shit.
But if you think about it, that's a very orthodox film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to give it away for people who haven't seen it,
right.
But
Scorsese movie.
It hits all the general points. Right. You know, the end of the movie is like, he's the Son of God, you know what I mean, or whatever. You know, he's going to resurrect. Don't worry, guys. Yeah, he went off the side and had sex with Mary Magdalene and stuff, but that wasn't even real. You know what I mean? It's kind of got a Donnie Darko thing going on, but but if you're not doing that,
I guarantee you, none of those people like this genre, and none of those people saw the movie. I guarantee you.
They're not cinephiles, you know what I mean? They're not people who love movies, and they're just people there in the church, and then they hear about a film that seems to desecrate or disrespect their religion, and so they hold up arms and say, this is
but we that watched the film actually gave the movie a shot and had an open mind. These guys were portrayed as heroes in the end.
Absolutely.
Even Max's character, he tried to fight evil till the death, till he died.
Yeah,
he was swinging, doing that spiritual boxing in there, you know, until it was time for him to go. They wanted to save that little girl, man. They wanted to save that. Yeah, what was that?
I said the Catholic Church was the hero of The Exorcist, and it would never be again.
Anyway, but just a classic movie. So many people I see have posted pictures of them visiting this staircase till this day.
Dude, I'd love to do that. It is in Georgetown, right?
Yeah. You know, I don't remember, but this is a classic. There will be none other like it. You know, we will never get a movie like The Exorcist ever again, no matter how many elevated horror films come out. And I'm not bashing all the elevated horror movies. There's some elevated horror movies that I actually enjoy. I actually liked Hereditary, but you know, a lot of people hate that movie. They hate the ending, but But you know, it's a classic. You can't remake it. You can't sequel it. You can't prequel it. You just can't. Some things just don't need to be fucked with. Some things don't need to be touched, you know. And put it this way. Oh, there you go. Oh, Pazuzu's back. Pazuzu's back.
Fuck you guys. Fuck you for not liking The Exorcist, believer.
He didn't like us giving the Catholic Church a compliment. I think that's what it was.
I don't know how this is happening. All right, Pazuzu's just showing up when it wants to.
He's cursed.
But yeah, let's have some fun here. But before we move on to the 80s now, we just talked about 70s classic. Let's go to the 80s.
Yeah, we accidentally kind of fell into this like theme of, you know, we got the 70s movie.
Yeah.
And we got the 80s movie.
That's right.
It's got a totally, you know, different vibe.
Yeah.
But it's got the son of Jason Miller. You know, I mean, perfect, dude. And we're the Frog Brothers.
That's right.
I was a frog man.
Darren, Jeff,
here?
Darren and Jeff, before we move on to Lost Boys, was there any last words on The Exorcist? Anything else you guys wanted to talk about, or it's up to you? Did we kind of cover everything?
We didn't. Look, it is one of those movies that you just cannot cover everything. I mean, yeah, I got like 5 other topics I could dish out right now, but they're just. I think we've said a good amount.
You both hate it. You both hate it. I got it. Another Exorcist believer fun fact. It was so bad. The director said, "I'm not doing any more."
Oh, really?
Yep.
Like no more movies?
He's not coming back for the next one.
Yeah.
So there you go. And, and keep in mind when you got.
I will take The Exorcist.
Yes.
I'll take the Heat.
Yes, directed by the Geare Brothers. Let's go, or at least written. If you guys would have written The Exorcist Believer, it probably would have been a good movie. But you need more than just little girls in makeup screaming. You need more.
Yeah,
you need more.
I remember the trailer. I remember the trailer, and I always laugh.
Nothing shocking.
That one actress, she goes,
nothing is shocking in that movie.
Like the way she delivers that line is so classic.
Yeah, nothing is shocking at all.
Yeah.
The body and the blood. The body and the blood.
Screaming in the church. The body and the blood. Oh, ooh, I'm scared. The fuck out of here, dude. You need more than that. You need more. You gotta have something. You gotta have substance instead of just screaming. But yeah, that's another review for another day. A Late Night with the Devil. A lot of people call that overrated. To me,
I loved it.
It's way better than The Exorcist Believer, which came out the same year.
I love
Late Night. I might be wrong about that, actually.
I saw it 3 times in the theater.
We really enjoyed it. We really enjoyed that one. But that's way better. And it didn't cost what was it? How much did they pay to buy the Exorcist franchise? Was it in the billions? They paid so much money. I don't remember how much, but they paid so much money to own the rights to the franchise just to give us
the body and the blood. The body and the blood.
The fuck out of here.
Well, you can definitely still make money off it. You know what I mean? It'll just they need to go back at it.
Well, I think the director who's taken over the next one. I think we got a shot. Is it the guy who does all the Stephen King Netflix shows? What's his name? He's done a lot of Stephen King adaptations.
I can't think of his name, but yeah, I know you're talking about.
I think he might be doing. He directed like Gerald's Game. I think he might be doing the next one. So we got a shot. We could redeem whatever the fuck that first one was. But now it's time to go to the 80s, baby. Let's do it.
In California, you'll find fun, romance, and vampires.
You better get yourself a garlic t-shirt, buddy.
You been eating pizza?
No, why?
Ooh, you smell like garlic.
The Lost Boys. The New York Times calls it timely, relentlessly funny, and a hit comic twist on the classic vampire movie. Bring home The Lost Boys on video cassette from Warner Home Video.
Yeah, we got to do it. We got to do that, son. For that, yeah, man. So much fun. So much fun. What a classic, man. What an absolute classic. And we did speaking of classic episodes, check it out here on the channel. I will not spoil it. I'll let these guys know who won afterwards because I don't think you guys were there when we did it. But we actually did a versus episode, and it was all 80s vampire movies. It was Lost Boys versus Near Dark versus Fright Night.
Oh,
Ridiculously entertaining versus episode. I won't spoil who won. I'll tell these guys after the stream. But
Fright Night too. That's
watch that. If you want to know who won, check out that versus episode there. But fun fact, I'm sure you guys already knew this, but Near Dark came out the same year the Lost Boys did.
Yeah.
And there are some similarities, but it's one of those things where it's just a coincidence, like The Raid and Dread came out the same year, very similar setup, trying to fight their way out of the building. Like it's just one of those, nobody copied anyone. It was just one of those coincidences. But oh boy, we'll start with you, Jeff. Oh wait, hold on. Let me get to the plot synopsis and all that for people who have not seen The Lost Boys. I'm sure everyone at this point has seen The Lost Boys. 1987, baby. Directed by Joel Schumacher. That's right. Plot synopsis: a recently divorced mother moves to a coastal town with her 2 teenage boys to stay with her father. The 2 brothers gradually discover that the area is a haven for vampires. Yes. Starring Jason Patrick as Michael, Corey Haim as Sam. We have Diane West here as Lucy. Bernard Hughes as Grandpa, which is hysterical. We'll get to his character later. Edward Herman as Max. And the great Kiefer Sutherland as David. Jamie Gertz as Star. That's right. Corey Feldman. Star. Corey Feldman as Edgar Frog. Jameson Newlander as Alan Frog. Alex Winter. That's right. Yeah, we get for all you Bill and Ted fans out there. And so many others in here. But yeah, this was just an absolute blast. But before I tell you my experience, we'll start with Jeff. Jeff, Lost Boys, baby. When did you first see this one?
Yeah, so this one definitely did.
Yesterday. You just know.
Yeah, I just watched it for my first time.
Earlier this morning.
Yeah, right. I fast forwarded it.
Now you're just acting like, I've seen it for like 30 years.
Yeah, it was a cool movie. No, I what's funny is Darren was definitely the one who showed me this movie, touting it as his favorite film even back in those days. I was a teenager at that time too, and I thought it was the one thing that stuck out to me when I was a teenager watching it was just how much I loved Kiefer Sutherland. And I got to tell you this funny little story. So it's about Kiefer. Me and Darren, we were in a band called Hong Kong 6 back in those days. We played the Troubadour a lot. And
digging the name.
At one of those shows, I was hanging out backstage with one of my buddies, Nolan, having a cigarette, and out of the doors of the Troubadour comes Kiefer Sutherland. And I'm going like, what the fuck? This is Kiefer Sutherland. And he's like, hey, man, you got a lighter? Or like, you got a smoke, man? And I'm like, yeah, I got a smoke. Like, you know what I mean? So I gave him a cigarette. And he's like, what are you doing here? And I told him, I was like, oh, my band's playing. He's like, oh, I got a band I'm managing. And they'll be playing too. And all that. So we have, and I told him, I said, I loved you in Lost Boys. I got to tell him that. And he was like, oh, thanks, man. And at this time, 24 was like all the rage. So I almost wonder if he was a little relieved somebody was jocking him for something that wasn't 24 because it was just so hot at that time.
Right.
And then he's like, hey, man, you guys should come in and have a beer with me. I'll be sitting there. Now, at the time, I was like 17. So I was like, I'm not pushing it, getting kicked out of the club. So I didn't have the beer with Kiefer.
Right.
But fast forward after we had played and Darren was driving me back home because I didn't drive at the time. And Darren goes, dude, I met Kiefer. And so he told me about his Kiefer experience. And he goes, and dude, he knew about you. And I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, so when Darren went to him, he told me he was in Hong Kong 6. Kiefer said, "Oh yeah, I met the guitar player. He was really cool." And I was like, "Dude, motherfucking Kiefer Sutherland, Jack Bauer said I was cool." You know what I mean? So yeah, I can rest. I can die happy, at any time.
I got
motherfucking.
I got
Sutherland.
I got
cool, man.
I got a picture with him that night, so I
Hell
got
yeah.
to commemorate the evening.
I didn't get a picture.
Do you have it with you right now, or?
You know what? I should have got it ready for the.
Yeah,
let me
see if
I can pull it up. But he was the nicest
nice,
dude,
man.
and I gushed. I try not to ever do that, but because Lost Boys has just been my favorite movie since I was a kid, and it's not changed.
Yeah,
I just couldn't not. So I was just, I was very cool and respectful, but I was like, dude, your performance in The Lost Boys is like the greatest thing ever. And he was so nice about it and so cool. And then I was like, can I please get a picture with you? And he was like, yeah, man, of course. He was like the nicest dude. And he was all about like, have a beer, let's hang out. Like he was just like the coolest dude, man. Like,
was the beer a little red?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We guys we was eating Chinese.
Yeah. He's like,
it was safe to I guess it's safe to say that Darren and Jeff probably would have voted for the Lost Boys if they were on that Versus episode.
Probably. Well, I'm not kidding. If Fright Night 2 was on that list, I might have voted for that.
Right. That was a fun Versus. Yeah,
that was a fun one,
But yeah, it's hard not. Don't be ashamed, Darren. It's hard not to gush on people we admire, especially when they're nice.
Oh,
yeah.
Dude,
Pazuzu's back.
Well, while you're fixing that, I'll tell a funny little story.
Go ahead.
Too, because that same night, I think that was the night Rivers Cuomo of Weezer was there for another band.
Yeah.
Might have been a different night, but I think it might have been the same one. And I went up to him. Again, I'm like 17, 18.
Yeah.
And I was like, he was wearing a white suit. And I go, oh my gosh, Pinkerton, their second album, it changed my life, man. It's moved that it was amazing. I was just gushing. And he literally just stared at me. Not a smile, not a thank you.
Wow.
And he didn't say anything. And I just awkwardly had to be like, all right, man, well, have a good night, okay? And just walked away.
I mean, what are you going to do at that point,
We were just at the bar. It was like, what a dick.
Yeah.
I know. But I'm sure he's a nice guy.
Hey,
I think he
hot take. The Lost Boys sequels are better than the first one. There you go.
It's one of those things when you hear people say never meet your heroes, but then the opposite of that is you'll hear people go, when people say never meet your heroes, well, they're full of shit because I met my hero and it was awesome. So I mean, it's you gamble.
Yeah,
you gamble. It's a mixed bag.
It's a gamble. Yeah. Kiefer was, for the record, Kiefer was the man. Kiefer was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Kiefer being the man, he completely owns and commands this whole movie.
Owns it.
Chews up every scene, dude.
Oh yeah.
Look at him.
And doesn't really have to do a lot. That's how good he is. No. He doesn't really have to emote that much until it's time to fuck around and find out a little bit later in the movie where he's just like, all right, fangs out, let's fucking go. But why does this shot here look like the Lost Boys the stage play? Why does this look like coming this Broadway this summer?
Break it to a number,
The Lost Boys on stage. But yeah, he's so good. Michael. He's so good. So good. Darren, you were talking about there was some behind the scenes, like you were going to be part of the movie. What's your story with that?
I have a super funny story. So The Lost Boys is very famously shot in Santa Cruz, California. Now, in the movie, they call it Santa Carla, but there is no Santa Carla. There's no such thing. It's very much Santa Cruz. So I was born in Santa Cruz, and I grew up half the time in Santa Cruz, half the time down in Orange County. And so one summer, I was up in Santa Cruz, and I think I was eight or nine, maybe 8 or 9, something like that. And my dad comes home from work, and he goes, "Hey guys, they're shooting. Are you ready for this? They're shooting a horror movie on the boardwalk and on the wharf. And it's a Hollywood production. They're shooting a horror movie." And I lost my mind, because I was, even at a young age, was, as I've told you before, very obsessed with film. I worked in a video store, probably by that age already. I was working in a video store at 9 years old, working for free movies at the local Circle K. So I was totally obsessed with movies, totally enamored with like how movies were made. And I just, so hearing that there was a movie in town, I couldn't believe it. So I begged my dad, I said, "Please, can we go down to the set?" And he goes, yeah, we'll go down tonight. So we went down, and completely guerrilla style tried to find the set. And I basically was like, can we try to get in? I want to get in a scene. That's, can you try to get us like on camera? And the funny part was, and I have this funny vivid memory of my dad. Lord knows where my dad got it from, but he was like, it's a movie about it's a monster movie. I think it's a movie about a sea monster. I mean, couldn't have been any more wrong. So I didn't know it was a vampire movie.
Well, Nessie did.
And so who knows how the rumors were getting around back then. This was no internet, obviously. And so we went in this one area, and we're looking around. We were driving, looking for the trucks and looking for, this was the 80s, so it was a little less, just not as sophisticated as, these days. It's probably a lot harder to do something like this. But we basically snuck on to behind the set of where they were shooting inside the restaurant. So the scene where Michael is up on the ceiling, and his vampire powers are kicking in for the first time, and his brother's freaking out and calling his mom while she's on a date with Max, right? So while the mom is on the phone with Max, in the background, my dad, my sister, and me are the blurry figures in the background.
Oh.
So,
wow.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So
wow.
we stuck it, and then so of course
you should have sent me a screenshot of that.
No, it's where, and so
we're also blurry figures in the Retaliators.
We are blurry figures.
And there was a blurry figure on the other side of the Retaliators, and that's me. So
yes,
that's my cameo.
Yeah, you're going to be in our next one, though.
Sam. Hey,
that's for sure.
Oh man, honored.
And then so I was so obsessed with, okay, what movie is this going to be? So then when I found out it was this movie called The Lost Boys, that was the movie that shot in Santa Cruz.
Insane.
I was there day one to go see it. So when it came out, I was either 9 or I think I was 9 years old.
I'm so jealous. 9 or 10. So jealous.
And I saw it in the theater, and
was it a drive-in or?
It wasn't a drive-in. It was a movie, because I saw a lot of movies in the drive-in in the 80s, but that one wasn't a drive-in. That was a theater.
So you saw this movie in the theater when it came out?
In the theater when it came out, and as a 9-year-old, you just have to imagine, like,
Yeah.
in a very different way, because The Exorcist is such a different tone. But in a totally on the other side of the spectrum, The Lost Boys is also a very just singular experience, because there's just no other movie that has, it's so unabashedly 80s in its pop culture, the music, the fashion, they're talking, yeah, you have shirtless guys grinding sack, but the character in the movie references MTV in the movie, which may not mean much right now, but back then, this is way before Tarantino. There were not a lot of real pop culture references made in movies, and here was like a little kid that was near my age when I saw the movie, going, you know what that means? If there's no TV, there's no MTV, right? It's like there was like this very pop culture of
all the comic book stuff,
the comic book store.
That's Tarantino right there. You know,
total.
And all these Crimson Tide.
Yeah,
you know?
So you've got yeah,
Silver Surfer.
Yeah,
And shit.
so you've got the,
look at these guys.
You've got the.
I know.
I know. So you got the comic book culture. You've got the like pop culture, and then this very fun and funny vibe, but then it's mixed with straight up horror and gore and practical effects.
Yeah.
There was no combo. There just there just wasn't a combo that felt like that in any kind of way. So like when I walked out of the theater, it just felt like my mind was blown. Like I was just like, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen. And there's just really nothing else that touches all those little nerves. And now it's such a relic of the 80s that it has taken on its own different thing today, because you can just enjoy the pure 80s-ness of it while also getting into all the other elements that are all totally still there. It's really crazy.
I gotta tell you, Darren is the king of like getting people to watch it that have never seen it.
Yeah,
we have one of our buddies who's actually he's the obnoxious guy at the end of the Retaliators, Skylar Stone. He's taken forever to see that movie. You couldn't even believe he didn't see it because they grew up in the same era, and you just finally got him to watch it, and he said he's one of the best films he's ever seen.
Yeah, and he's very critical. He hates just about everything I show, and like he was just like, dude, this movie, I've never seen anything like this. And he's like, I was expecting something totally different. This is so much fun. Like, it's pretty hard to deny how fun the fucking movie is.
You got my girlfriend to see it?
Yeah.
And she loves it? Yeah.
I'm big on converting people over.
How are you going to deny anyone from seeing this guy right here? I mean, come on.
No. Oh, bro. I still believe. The fact that you can make that work in a movie,
when that
it works.
When that scene kicks in,
how do you make a movie where that works?
When that scene kicks in, every time when it kicks in, every time it's just like you can't not just go, "Oh my god, this is the greatest!"
It's the greatest.
And the things that it pulls off, you're just like, only this movie could have pulled this off. You know what I mean?
But like Darren was said, all the references and the comedic chops, and then you have the gore, the juicy, wonderful juiciness of the gore, which is always fun. Always welcome. But I love this scene right here. It really sets the tone of what kind of movie you're about to watch. Oh man, it kind of sucks for this couple if they weren't a couple and this was like a first date. If this was like a first date, it kind of sucks for them. But yeah, so many great scenes in this movie for sure. And of course, I got to show the shot. I got to show the shot now. I mean, that's just like, that's wallpaper. You know, come on. You got to put that on there.
So
many
posters.
I mean, the cinematography. I mean, that's the thing about the movie, is that there's just so many elements to just single out and appreciate, separated from the kitschiness of the fun 80s-ness of it, right? It's like, it's Michael Chapman is the cinematographer, and you know, this is the guy who did Taxi Driver, and I mean, he's just a world-class cinematographer. The shots in that movie, the lighting in that movie is so beautiful, and everything holds up today. I mean, it just from a lighting and just a cinematic standpoint, I mean, it's gorgeous. That's why when you talk about not touching a movie, and they've recently talked about that they're going to do a remake of it,
rebooting, remaking, and
it's just like,
I dare them. I dare Hollywood to try and remake this.
I really don't think you can touch it.
It doesn't take Hollywood a lot to take that dare.
Actually, I regret saying that, because now it's going to happen. I fucked it up for all of us. God damn it.
If they can make money, you know, they'll make it.
What did you think of be honest, what did you think of the sequels?
You know, it's funny. I own them.
Yeah.
And it's, for as big a fan as I am,
you haven't watched them.
I mean, I've never watched them, you know, and I think it's just, part of me is like, it's hard for me to just like let it into my brain, you know? Yeah. I mean, I have a Lost Boys tattoo, for God's sake. So I mean, I'm as big a fan as it gets. I just can't do the sequel. I just can't. Sequels, you know, they're not real sequels, obviously.
If you're going to do a sequel, you have to do it James Cameron style, or you know, that he did with Terminator 2. It's like, it needs to stand on its own as a singular film unto itself. Right. You know, if you can get all those ingredients and make it another singular film, as opposed to just trying to make it modern.
Like the sequel should, the sequels probably should have just been YouTube short films, like just for fun. Let's see what the Frog Brothers are doing now, and they go on a little vamp hunt.
Oh, that's,
and that's
cool.
it. That's probably what it should have been. I remember both of them. Yeah, I remember both of them being really bad, but I remember 3 being a little bit better than 2.
Oh,
but
okay.
That's so long ago. Still not great.
I love B movie. I love B movies, and I watch B movies more than I watch normal movies. Usually, just because I'm just endlessly fascinated with them. So I'll get around to them. It's just, there's something that's just so sacred when it comes to Lost Boys.
No pressure. It's not like we're going to do a video. Or
that would be pretty fun. Like do a versus on 2 and 3, you know? That sequel.
Oh my God. A versus episode. A versus episode where we both lose. You know, once in a while we
no, I'm just kidding.
We actually, it was rare, but we actually did that once in a while. We did which movie was worse, The Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker? And then I thought we did another one like that.
We did it. You did a which one was worse?
Yeah,
we did with you.
Right.
We did Manos, The Hands of
Manos
versus Howling 7.
Yeah.
Howling, yeah. So I was Howling 7, right? 7?
Yeah. That's New Moon Rising on the street, just so you know.
On the street. There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to the movie. So good, so funny, and just Jason Patrick's character slowly turning into a vamp, and his brother just slowly discovering what's happening and freaking out. So funny, and of course, but again, it builds to this really fun kind of action-packed finale. You know, like I was not expecting it when I watched the movie for the first time. We had some fun, gory kills. I mean, come on, death by stereo, son. Come on, death by stereo. Let's go.
That's great.
They had a really cool kill in the tub.
The tub's a great kill.
They filled up the tub with holy water, right?
Holy water and garlic.
Right. Yeah, that was a cool kill.
Garlic. Yeah, a great kill.
And of course,
end of Gremlins effect.
Right, yeah. And of course, we had a one-on-one vamp fight throwdown. I was like, what? They went at it a little bit. It was just fucking cool, man. It was like really cool. And of course, you know, the sweet, adorable, innocent Max ended up being the head vamp in the land in that town, man. And he showed up and they're like, hey, how are you in the house right now? He's like, you invited me in, you idiot.
Genius. That twist, dude. And what's funny is the last time we watched it together, I had forgotten how funny that scene is when he looks at when they turn on the lights and he looks at the mirror. He's like, "Whoa!" He like scares himself looking at the mirror.
Great. With the Frog Brothers, yeah, it's so good. Such a good scene.
Because that actor, what's his name? I can't remember his name, but he's just so good.
Jameson. Oh, Max.
Yeah, Max
yeah. He's Bernard Herrmann.
Yeah. Oh, he's so good.
See, Edward Herrmann was Max.
Edward Herrmann, not Bernard.
Because he seems he's able to look like just like a sweet middle-aged man, and then was able to also turn it into like, I'm evil, motherfucker.
Yes, I apologize. Bernard is the grandpa.
Oh. Are we going to get to the grandpa, or are we waiting?
Well, we're going to get.
Come on.
I just want to show this. I just want to show this photo. I just want to show this photo again. Let's show this photo again. Now, is it me? Is it just me? Or why, when Max looks like a vampire, he looks like John Lithgow?
Yeah.
I see it. John Lithgow probably got offered the role.
Yeah.
And he would have killed it. He would have killed it because it's John Lithgow. But no, Edward did a great job. But yeah, right after the carnage, everyone's impaled or dead. We get that last line. Go ahead and say the last line, Darren.
The only thing I hate about living in Santa Carla is all the damn vampires.
All the damn vampires. It's so good. And the whole family's like,
they're
like looking at him like, what the fuck, dude?
And what a great last line. I mean, it's just so good. It's so simple and just so on the nose. It's like, it's so great.
Maybe I'm stretching a little much, but that whole taxidermy thing, if you think about it, it's like it's something dead, but it's a lot like you're playing it like it's alive, and the vampires have this kind of undead quality.
Yeah.
There might be a little connection there.
And let's not forget about the awesome soundtrack.
That was some downward dogging. Sorry, guys.
Don't forget about the awesome soundtrack too. The score was really good too. That soundtrack.
Man. I've got that on vinyl. Bust it all the time.
People Are Strange. There you go. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Echo on the
Thou shalt not fall. Yeah, so much good. So good. But yeah, we could.
Dude.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best.
Yeah, there we go. And now Jeff's got me copyright claim. Thank you, Jeff, for that.
10 minutes later. 10 minutes later.
10 minutes later. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure we could talk about The Lost Boys for like 6 hours. But overall, let's go ahead and wrap it up here. Cinematography is great. It's got some fun action, great visual effects, fun practical effects, makeup effects, gore, kills, comedy, death by stereo. I really don't know what else you need. What else do you need? I mean, it's just a classic movie, man. So good, so good. And hopefully I didn't ruin it, and hopefully Hollywood will never remake it. Fingers crossed.
I'll give it a shot.
No
all right?
Hollywood remake. Yeah, you would, Jeff. You know what?
Jeff's
there is
trying to jump in the dumpster.
There is that.
There
is that rare occasion where the remake or reboot is actually pretty good. There is that rare occasion. But yeah, this has been a blast, brothers. Everybody watching right now, don't forget the Retaliators on Screambox, baby. Check it out. Represent. Get the beer or soda and get the pizza, get the popcorn, sit down with some friends, watch the carnage. And yeah, man, it's what it's all about. And don't forget to follow this guy's podcast. By the time this episode goes up, I'll have links in the description box below so you can follow their podcast. And that's right, subscribe to the old Samurai Guy. Because if you don't,
I'm gonna fucking get you, baby. That's right. Pazuzu's gonna haunt your house, baby. So like and subscribe to the old Samurai Guy. And follow the Movie Dojo podcast on Spotify.
I don't know why Pazuzu's from Texas now. Where did the country accent come from? I don't know. But yeah, we have fun here. Hope you guys enjoy this, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Keep watching movies, keep representing that horror genre, baby, and let us know in the comments below your honest thoughts of both films. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Geare Brothers don't go anywhere, but you guys take care. Peace out, guys. Did you guys want to pop out? Did you guys want to try popping out and popping back in? Maybe that might help your glitchiness.
Hey, don't tempt me with a good time, Fat Samurai.
I still bleed.